All right, so like I said, we got Cat Girls as our next talk. More specifically, we have Thelema from IMGNAI talking about, is AI destroying art, creativity, and identity in a new world? So take it away.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start by meowing. Thank you for introducing me with appropriate meows for my people. Very much appreciated. So yes, I am Thelema. I am CEO and co-founder of IMGNAI. And I'm here today to talk about whether AI is destroying art, which has been hotly debated recently. But before we begin, I would like to open by setting the scene, and I'd like to bring you with me to imagine a reality that you thought you understood, a world where history was documented through artifacts, sculpture, writing, art. Well, scrap that. Did you ever wonder, what if your presidents were black or Chinese? Well, Gemini made that a reality this week. And as a woefully underrepresented category, being a cat girl, I am very thankful for their representation and furthering the diversity and inclusion agenda, albeit retrospectively, which is quite an incredible feat. And jokes aside, whatever you think of this, and we all know history has not been preserved entirely accurately as is, it is clear that we are at a pivotal moment in time where protecting the quality of information is more important than ever before. But today, we are here to talk about art. And so let's start by defining what art actually is. And it's a broad definition. And art is simply the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. And whilst what probably comes to mind is the virtual forms, like the visual forms like painting, drawing, sculpture, performance art, it can also look like poetry, dance, music, code, and performance art. And we saw Grimes saying that she thinks that the Gemini debacle was actually a great, although unintentional, display of performance art in that it was it brought home how absurd it can be when it's taken to its extremes. But as the definition of art is so broad, why, therefore, is there so much debate around whether AI art does constitute art, given it is a human using their imagination to create? The backlash against art, and we've seen a lot of it, is, to me, a very human one. And I think it's rooted in fear. And these fears are felt outside of art too, across industries. I think many fear job displacement, but I think it goes deeper than that and talks to a loss of identity and the acceleration of capitalism. And artists especially have long felt the pain of not being able to monetize, hence the starving artist meme. So it's easy to understand why opening the doors to creativity for people without that natural talent for artistic endeavors would be daunting for those who do. And I like to think of it as, if you're an employee in a corporate environment and you've been there for 10 years, you are educated, you've got a lot of experience, and you've shown loyalty. But one day, your manager takes you into a room and says, right, okay, here's 10 18-year-olds or some robots, and actually they can do what you do. I think you'd also be a little bit upset. So I think it's a natural fear, and it's understandable. But I also believe that opening the doors of creativity to everyone is actually an overwhelming positive. And I do think that crypto is likely to become the home for creators, given that it makes it easier than ever for people to monetize and to gain attention. But I also believe that people who buy art invest in much more than a physical piece. They value the human behind the art, the creative mind, the thinking, what the art represents, and how it represents a moment in time. So I think if we switch from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance and confidence, we will realize that we are actually at a moment in time where human-created art will be more desired, more appreciated than ever before, and actually, therefore, drive a premium. If you're not familiar with what we do at OpenAI, our first product was an image generation product similar to Midjourney, but without the censorship, and therefore a lot more fun. Generative art opens the doors of creativity to everyone. In a capitalist world, much of our time is spent achieving, progressing, earning, working, and our minds are abuzz with stress and worry. We constantly have that thought process of, are we doing enough? Are we succeeding? Are we achieving? And it's really hard to quieten that noise, harder than ever before, especially with social media nuking our attention span to around 8 seconds at best. So we're constantly in our monkey mind, yet it is widely known and accepted and evidenced that to feel good and perform well, we need to spend time doing things that separate the self from those thoughts. And many fear that the answer is only to be found in meditation or yoga or other things that require elephant pants. But actually, creative right brain pursuits are one of the best ways to do this. Giving access to creativity allows more people to take space from that ever-present thought process, exist in the moment with no need for progression or a tangible outcome, but pure focus on creating something new. And actually what we find, ironically, is that ends up translating into better results in everyday life because your brain is rested and used to creating. So thanks to generative art, it's no longer restricted to the few with the physical ability. Anyone is able to turn their words and thoughts into art. And as badmoney.eth so eloquently said, art is about breaking barriers, exploring emotions, and testing reactions. And I personally think that's quite beautiful. There is also a belief that AI art doesn't take any talent, and it's really not true. Prompt engineering in itself is a new art, and it makes a huge difference to the end result. What you can see here is one of our community members, and you can see the difference between what they tried to express in the pink box as opposed to the prompt. Over time, well, we see a lot of people who join the community, and in this instance, they probably type close-up of a girl, eye, snowflake, and they get a very different result. And we've spent a lot of time making the product so that you can put in a relatively boring prompt and still get a good result, because that's a good user experience. However, what we see over time is that people learn prompt engineering, and people then learn how to manipulate the models, and then in turn, that over time, they're able to produce much more accurate and high quality results based on what they're looking to express. So yes, last week we all saw Gemini hitting the news with its somewhat questionable approach to censorship. Our stance has been clear since day one. Censorship is anti-freedom and anti-art, and the moment we introduce politics, bias, ideologies, we give power to the idea that a third party can or should control what information is acceptable and therefore accessible. And though the media will suggest otherwise, this isn't about being right or left wing. It's not about wokeness or manufacturing fake diversity. And it's by no means suggesting that documenting of history has been perfect. We know that is not the case. But it's about credible neutrality and protecting the truth. And that is crypto-aligned at its core. AI censorship is inherently political. It will and is being used to further political agendas. Here we see that OpenAI will not let you create art related to America, but they're more than happy to let you create the same art related to other nations. This can and will continue, and I think it's time that everyone understands that being anti-censorship means anti-fragility. History is not offensive. History is information, And the more we are free to access unbiased information, the more we improve the ability to think freely and make informed choices. And that is, of course, why censorship is exactly what governments and megacorps want. Crypto was built after TradFi already existed. And it looked to challenge existing power structures, take the control away from the few, and put it back into the hands of the individual. The beautiful thing about where we're at with AI right now is we're able to make these choices from day one. And the more censorship we allow, the more power we give away. Remember that both sides have an agenda, and what we need to seek is free systems without bias. And the time to choose who you back and what you support is now. We were all blown away with the release of OpenAI's Sora, which is their generative video product, and it became very clear very quickly that soon we won't be able to distinguish reality from the virtual. We immediately saw many people calling for ways to identify AI-generated content, and we've heard some fantastic talks today from projects like Story, who are working on provenance. And I loved the comparison between Napster and Spotify. That's the real first time I've had an aha moment and thought, actually, that may be possible. But I also quite enjoyed this quote from Ubzu, who said that cryptographic authentication of video is like trying to bail out the Titanic with a spoon, and that we need to get comfortable with the possibility that we will never know anything for sure. Though I would take this one step further and say I don't think we ever have. Our reality has constantly been controlled by the media and politicians, and this is kind of the first chance we have to reject that and build something new. So, why am I here today as an anonymous cat girl? Good question. Identity is a fascinating thing to me, and there's a rich history of anonymity, both in crypto and in art, with both of them also having a history of driving change. In the real world, our identity is what we are judged on first. There's no escape from this. The physical is the first thing you see. Our brains make judgments in seconds as soon as we meet people. In a virtual world, that is removed, and that brings with it freedom. We're able to create new identities, new realities, and be perceived and judged based on our ideas and what we choose to present to the world, rather than how people take us in. And for those who have lived through stigma based on their appearance or identity, this is especially powerful. Anonymity is the great equalizer, and when you take identity out of the equation, the purest form of creativity can be found. Anonymity allows us to focus on ideas rather than perceptions. And anecdotally, we have found that those who have joined our community and embraced the cat girl persona have ended up naturally being incredibly diverse. And this once again proves to me that when you try and force or create diversity, the opposite actually happens. And when you free people from that, it naturally leads to it. Quite hilariously, I was asked to fill a speaker slot at an event this week, as they were looking for a girl to talk about DAOs. Whilst I appreciate the offer, I am not sure my gender gives me any particular DAO experience, as I am not in one. So my time is nearly up, but I'd like to answer the age-old question of why token, specifically with a why. And it does make me laugh because this industry is called cryptocurrency. And if we aren't building new financial systems, what are we doing? But to answer this question, not only does crypto give us a powerful tool to build really fun, gamified incentive structures where artists can earn from the content that they create, crypto and AI are imperative to ensure censorship resistance and protect our freedom. If we take away the megacorp politics, one of the reasons for the censorship we see in the Web 2 products are payment rail policies. Not many people want to touch anything considered even mildly controversial, because why would they? They don't need to. But crypto gives us the ability to set our own boundaries and protect those if our fiat rails are compromised. And personally, I think that's something worth fighting for. And actually, dare I say it, a real use case. So in conclusion, is AI art destroying art? I don't think so. I think it is putting art in the hands of everyone. It's decentralizing creativity, allowing people to express and explore, take a breather from life, and creating a new era of artists who can monetize their work and find community. And I am personally proud to be a part of that. So thank you for listening. I'll be around, and if anybody is here specifically for some of the 500 pairs of fluffy light-up cat ears I brought through airport security, I have many with me, so feel free to come and say hello. But thank you very much. Yes, one final meow. Yes, happy to take any questions if anyone has them. I may just answer in meows if I don't know the answer. Hello. Creating our own models. Yeah, so the way we build is we build on top of stability, and then we have in-house ML trainers who build our specialist models on top. So we're quite heavily focused on anime, but we do a lot of realism too. But yeah, one thing we're really focused on is adding to those models and getting them to levels that hopefully can compete with OpenAI. We all see how quickly they're going to grow, and there's no debating that. But I think from the talk with stability, I've always thought our thesis from the beginning was that open source will maybe not outcompete with $7 trillion, but with the amount of people who are working on it passionately, I think we can more than keep up over time. And I think working together and kind of open sourcing some of what we do, helping one of the things we're really keen to do is help model builders monetize those models. Our platform has a lot of users, and what we can do is host those models and then hopefully provide incentive structures for the model creators to actually earn from those. I think one thing that we struggle with in crypto is we have awesome builders who don't know how to then monetize their product. So if we can build a platform with a really huge community, that's giving them, the community who are naturally interested in what they're doing. So yes, we're building models. We're specifically building some not safe for work models, given the lack of censorship. But yes, a huge focus of ours for sure. Any other questions? Looking at you, Jake. No, we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.